Welcome to Am I the A-hole, where a man leaves his girlfriend to find her own way out of a corn maze and home. Don't forget to comment if you think the Redditors are, or aren't the A-hole. This post comes from Redditor u/timely, ask, 1327.
AmITheA for leaving my girlfriend stranded when she chose to ignore me. I 27 went to a pumpkin patch with my girlfriend 22 and a bunch of her friends. I was told it was a couple's thing, but I was the only guy there. That's fine, I am okay with her friends. I am past the whole cutesy date thing, but I like making her happy. But then they all started ignoring me. Every time I tried to join a conversation or spend time with my girlfriend, I got frozen out. Like I was intruding. I asked her if she wanted to go do the corn maze with me, and it was like I was some creepy guy at a bar. They all had to come along. Like I was trying to separate her. I totally was, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Anyways, they all decided to split up in the maze, and my girlfriend went with them. Fuck this noise. I could go catch the Seahawks game if I boogied. So I texted her that she had 5 minutes to respond to me, or I was going back to town to watch the game and she could get a ride back with her friends. I was literally watching the second quarter before she responded. It took her that long to notice that I was gone. She said her friend would have to drive really far out of her way to drop her off and that I should come get her. I was definitely over the limit and I told her to get an Uber and I would pay for it. She said never mind and spent the night at her place instead. I just woke up to about 50 texts from her and her friends calling me an asshole for leaving without telling anyone. I did tell her. She just chose to ignore me. I'm kind of peeved that I wasted all that gas and time and we never even got to actually spend time together. I'm upset with her and her BS friends. Am I the a-hole? So, is the Redditor the a-hole? Comment what you think.
The next post comes from u/repulsivething3618.
AmITheA for not taking my kids trick-or-treating because I don't want to walk up a hill. My kids, F7 and F2, almost 3, were super excited for Halloween this year. It's my favorite holiday, so I'm always excited, too. I went all out for costumes and stuff like always. My oldest is Sally, my youngest chose Ariel. I plan to wear my Lumen cosplay that I spent almost a year making. Except my town moved the trick-or-treat night from Saturday to Monday. This sucks for us, because we live on the top of a pretty steep hill and their dad will have the car for work since he works night shift. Trick-or-treat starts at 7 and he leaves for work at 7. Now, I walk up this hill when I absolutely have to, but I really try to avoid it. It's 8 blocks to the top and it's steep the entire way. Pushing a stroller up is hell. Convincing a toddler to walk up it is even more hell. I have asthma and I often struggle up the hill with it. So I canceled trick-or-treat plans, because I can't do that hill with 2 kids after walking around trick-or-treating. Instead, I bought them baskets for a Halloween camp-in and movie night. They have Halloween-themed pajamas, some spooky cups for hot chocolate, books, a coloring book, a make-your-own monster kit and spooky face masks. I also stayed up late to hand-make some skull-shaped hot chocolate bombs with edible glitter and I made little ghost-shaped marshmallows for it. I also have candy and popcorn. But their grandparents are being harsh about it. They said I'm ruining the holiday and that I should be ashamed that I'm depriving them of trick-or-treat just because I'm lazy. They also claim my kids would hate the baskets and be pressured to lie about their feelings because of it. I guess it could be selfish to cancel just because of the walk home and maybe I should just tough it out. I don't want to ruin my kids' holiday. So am I the a-hole for not taking them just because the walk home would suck? Edit, I asked both my friends and grandparents for rides or help. They couldn't do it. I have comments explaining why. I did try to find alternatives. My local taxi cab service says online that they close at 7, but it doesn't say if the business location closes at 7 or if that means they stop doing rides at 7. Either way, I have no money right now. My bank account is at a whopping $2.41 right now. My kids did go to the Halloween parade in town this year, and they did go to the school Halloween parade, which my oldest daughter was in. We didn't go to trunk or treat because my kids were sick when it happened, but my oldest didn't want to go anyway for some reason, and my toddler didn't know about it to care. We've never missed trick or treat before, and we do participate in as many Halloween activities as we can when they come around. My town is surrounded by mountains. I feel like a lot of people on here may not be familiar with rural, mountainous towns. View the landscape as a bowl and the town is in the middle of it. They built up into the mountains, and if you're unlucky enough to live in the edges of the town where they built up the mountain, it's not very fun. The only perk is that my house is too high in elevation to be flooded during rainy seasons. Because of this, the people here have made a normal event of going to the bottom of the hill to hand out candy. You won't find houses up here with lights on and hoping kids walk up the hill for it. They go to the bottom of the hill and hand it out there. Edit 2, my kid's dad is my ex-husband. We just live together and co-parent. I'm sorry if my post made it seem like we're a couple or anything. I sometimes forget to clarify that so I don't confuse people in replies.
So, is this Redditor the a-hole, or does it seem like she has a valid reason to not want to go? Comment your thoughts. This story comes from you/Trincoles.
AmITheA for overruling my sister by approving my nephew's outfit for my wedding? My fiancé, M27, and I, F27, are getting married in early April. We are planning a big wedding with the help of both of our parents' financing. We invited all of our friends and family, including our siblings and their kids. My fiancé and I are very excited for our wedding. When it comes to the dress code, me and my fiancé are very laid back. We just want people to dress up in either a suit, dress, or something else fancy. We couldn't care less about the color or design and actually encourage our guests to dress creatively, colorfully, or over the top. Me and my fiancé are both creative people. I'm an art teacher and he works in advertising. We want people to express themselves, and while we are okay with traditional color wedding outfits, we only want them being worn if it is truly something our guests like. I have many siblings, and many nieces and nephews. My oldest sister and her husband, F40 and M40, have 6 kids, F15, M14, M13, F11, M7, and F3. I still live close to all of my siblings, so me and my fiancé have a close relationship with them and know they are excited for our wedding. My 13-year-old nephew is a good kid, has great grades, and is the athlete of the family. As with most middle school boys, dressing up in a suit isn't exactly his favorite thing to do, and about a month ago, my sister called me telling me he was giving them issues when suit shopping. I sat down with him and had a talk to see if everything was okay. He said he didn't like anything he saw, and I told him to ask his friends for advice. About a week after, I got a text from my nephew asking what he thought of his outfit idea. He wanted to go with a sports theme. He wanted to wear a normal dress shirt and pants, but for his blazer have his favorite NFL team on it, a lacrosse tie and baseball cufflinks. He found all of this online and sent links. He told us his mom said no and then asked my opinion on it. I showed it to my fiancé and we both agreed it was acceptable and we would love to see him in it if that's what made him happy. A few hours later, I got a call from my sister asking why I would approve it after she said no, and complained about how the outfit could reflect on her and how my nephew needed to learn proper wedding attire. I asked her and my nephew out to lunch the next day so we could settle it out. We went out to lunch and my nephew and sister was explaining how his friends recommended it and how he wanted to express his love for sports. After explaining to him that this isn't normal wedding attire, but fiancé, and I wanted people to be creative, my sister agreed to buy it, and just got all the stuff in the mail and he loves it. My sister is still upset at me for trying to overrule her parenting, and when talking to one of our other siblings, M38, he agreed with her that I overstepped my boundaries. Fiancé and I are just happy nephew found a nice outfit he likes. Ida? So should have the Redditor stayed out of this?
This post comes to us from Redditor u/Sedandolo in Italy.
Am I the a-hole for canceling a trip and refusing to pay my friend back for flights? I am currently on a semester abroad in Italy until Easter, from the UK. My friend Polly wanted to come and visit at the end of next month. We had been talking about this trip and planning dates for ages, and she still hadn't booked anything, which is obviously fine. However, in the meantime I had been having some mental health issues and family drama and would like to go home to my parents around the time she is supposed to visit. It is the only time that my family will be free when flights are affordable for me to go home. 3 days ago, I sent Polly a long message explaining the situation and that I was sorry I would not be able to host her at the time we had planned for her to visit. She had still not booked anything at the time, but immediately seemed a bit defensive and sent me a message saying, "This is the only time I will be free to visit you. Can I come on specific dates? I can book flights today, is that okay?" I immediately, within 30 minutes, replied saying, "No, I'm sorry. As I explained, I would now like to go home at the time we had been planning the visit, and in any case the first 2 days of your trip aren't what we discussed, and I have always been unable to host you at that time due to specific commitments. Normally I would say to book 2 days later, but as I said I really need to prioritize my mental health and go home at that time if possible." She didn't respond again until the next day and told me that she had already booked flights before checking whether I'd replied and that she was expecting me to host her on the dates she had outlined. To be honest, I was quite shocked by this and told her I couldn't host her then and that she should have checked my response to her questions before booking the flights. She is now very angry and insisting that I should pay her back for the cost of her flights, around £100, which is a lot for either of us. But I told her that this shouldn't be my responsibility as she should have double-checked with me before spending the money. I later offered to refund half as a peace offering, but she said this wasn't anywhere near good enough. Polly told our mutual friends the situation and they are all saying I'm the a-hole and should pay her back in full as she and her family apparently have no money. I'm devastated to have lost this friendship on top of everything else going on in my life and really confused about whether I'm in the wrong. So, am I the a-hole for canceling this trip and refusing to refund my friend for her flight tickets?
So should the Redditor have given her friend the whole £100? This post comes from Redditor u/Inundated with Bros.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to consider people who were not wearing costumes for a costume party? My organization on campus always hosts a huge Halloween party. I have been every year since I was a freshman, and given that I am a senior this year, it was my opportunity to help plan it. I was asked to handle the costume contest. I was the head judge. The way it works is that all the other organizations choose one member of their group to submit for the best costume and we pick one male org and one female org member to win. In past years, I have never particularly liked how the costumes were judged. The male costumes were always good, but the female costumes were just not great. They went with the typical girl Halloween costume. We always had some girls that show up in real costumes, and not just string and a prop. Not that there's anything wrong with that, for obvious reasons I love when the girls wearing string costumes show up to parties and get a little wet and wild, but they obviously shouldn't be winning the costume contest. So the party was Friday night and once the costume contest started I and the co-judges were picked. I told them off the jump that we're only judging real costumes. One was okay with this and on my side the other was not, but 2/3 so we had to go with my rules. We looked at each contestant and were easily able to pick out the male winner. The female winner was a bit harder. Only one chick was in a real costume, well real by comparison. My idea was she won by default as no one else was in a costume. This girl was in a Trixie Tang costume from Fairly Odd Parents. The other judge was not a fan of it, so she did not want her to win. But all the other girls weren't in costumes. We debated it before I said that I would just say whoever she said was the winner to get her to shut her mouth. This was a lie, and when I announced the winner, I explicitly said that Trixie Tang won because she has the best actual costume of all of the lady entries. The other judge was mad and the girls from the losing groups were not happy. They said I judged unfairly. The president of my org co-signed my decision and said that the outcome was fine. We awarded the prize and everything was cool, but after that, none of the girls from the orgs that lost wouldn't talk to me. The other judge told me I was a dick and lied to her, which I guess is true, but our house, our rules, and our prez was cool with it. Am I the a-hole?
So is the Redditor the a-hole, or is everyone just overreacting to the way they wanted to judge the costume contest? Comment below what you think.
Don't forget that there will be monthly giveaways starting once I hit 1500 subs, so like and subscribe.